For fans of classic rally racing, there's a game coming to PlayStation and Nintendo Switch that might be right up your alley. It is called Classic Racers Elite, and it is a smaller indie title, but it is definitely worth checking out. What's up, everybody? This is Sergeant Sentinel Gaming, also known as SSG, and this video is about Classic Racers Elite. Now, thank you to Funbox Games for providing the free copy of this game via Keymailer. I greatly appreciate it. Now, to go a little bit into this game before I start talking about my own experiences with it, according to the developer, Classic Racers Elite has 4 car categories, from microcars to F1, 12 championships, 17 unique locations for a total of 50 tracks. Variations from the 17 tracks include reversed segments and slaloms, drive fantastic cars from the 60s, cross-platform online worldwide leaderboards for each track. Now, there's also a free run mode for improving your times on these tracks, and a huge draw to this game is those worldwide leaderboards. Now, whenever I played this, obviously the worldwide leaderboards for PlayStation 4, because that's what I played it on, they're not active yet. That's kind of understandable because, like I said, I'm playing this game pre-launch because it hasn't officially launched on the PlayStation 4, but I think once it does, having the ability to compete via kind of cross-play with people from the Nintendo Switch and of course from the Steam community to see if you can get better times on these tracks than your friends did, that's going to be a big draw to this game, and I think a lot of people are really going to like that. But before I get really into the positives of this game, I do kind of want to get the negatives out of the way first, because I feel like that way I can end this video on a positive note, because ultimately I did enjoy this game and I do think it's worth picking up. But like I said, the negatives about this game, they're not that significant. They are pretty small, but they are worth mentioning. The first one, and it's a very minor negative, is on a few of the tracks, you can see in the video that there are different objects that have arrows on them pointing where you're supposed to go. On some of the tracks that I raced, in a couple of the different races and tournaments, in very small instances, the arrows were pointing the wrong way, which of course when you're going about 120 miles an hour, it confuses you, it throws you off, and you turn with the arrows telling you to turn and you end up smashing into a wall or a guardrail. That was a little aggravating. However, like I said, that's only a few instances where I came across this, and I think that's not really too big of an issue as long as you keep an eye on where the track is going. Now, something else I didn't really like is that once you've completed a tournament, you can't really go back to it. Now, you can always do the free run mode, but it doesn't let you go back to tournaments that you've completed, which, in my opinion, extremely limits the replay value. Another thing is the collision physics, or I should say, like when you get too close to something, it completely stops you. It's easy to flip your car. It's just, it feels a little like it could be more fine-tuned than it is. And like I said, that is a negative. It's not too bad, but it is noticeable, especially where there's tight cornering. If you happen to hit something, it's not like Forza or like Need for Speed or even the Dirt series where you're able to keep going once you accidentally bump against something. Some of these objects on the side will stop you almost completely dead in your tracks, and when you have only 60 seconds or 70 seconds to complete a certain race and you lose all your momentum, it is definitely aggravating. The last negative I did want to mention is that noticeably on the PlayStation 4 version of this game, the frame rate suffers. A comparable look to the frame rate was when I was playing Far Cry 4 on the PlayStation 3, because of course, as most of you might Remember, Far Cry 4 was at the very end of the PlayStation 3 generation, where it was already crossing over with the PlayStation 4. So the PlayStation 4 version ran at a 30 frames per second locked. As far as I could tell, the PlayStation 4 version of Far Cry 4 was good, but the PlayStation 3 version had some frame rate issues, and the frame rate issues I saw there look a lot like what they look like here, which could be poor optimization. It's not too much of an issue. For racing games, you really want it to be running 30 frames per second locked at a minimum, so when the frame rate does kind of drop out, it is a little, it's a little disheartening. But aside from that, I had a lot of fun with this game. There are a number of cars. I would say playtime, if you're able to complete every single track from start to finish, it might take you a couple hours. I think I spent 3.5, but some of these tracks I went back through and did again. And when I say I did again, I don't mean I completed them and was able to go back to them. I mean, if I get almost to the end of the race and I'm not running the time I want to, I hold down the triangle button and it allows me to restart. You hold it down for like 2 seconds. The circle arrow will come up at the top of the screen. It will allow you to restart, which was great. That way I don't have to keep going to the menu and doing it. Another thing that I thought was really interesting about this game is that you don't have to use the triggers to drive the car. What I mean by that is that while you use the left thumbstick to steer the car, the right thumbstick you can use for acceleration or braking. Forward is acceleration, holding back or down on it is braking. And while not everyone may use this way of acceleration and braking in gameplay, it's great that the developers put it in there, because I did run a couple of races like this and it's definitely interesting. And I actually prefer that on some of these longer stretches that are just open road, that you definitely have to put your foot down and just run as fast as you can. The races that you race in this, some of them are not necessarily as fast, but it's more about cornering and maneuvering around obstacles. Other ones where there's huge open stretches of road, you absolutely got to put your foot down and run as fast as you possibly can from one turn to the next turn, which might be half a mile or a mile down the road. I got all of the trophies in essentially one playthrough of this from start to finish. Before I got the last achievement for finishing, I did get all the trophies. Now the way you do that, obviously, 2 of these trophies, for people that might not be as good at racing games, they may look at it and go, oh man, I don't know. The one for completing a race 10 seconds ahead of time, and the second one for completing it 15 seconds ahead of time. My advice to those people is go on those longer races, hold your foot down, and you'll be able to get those 2 achievements. And then, of course, once you get all the achievements, all the squares will be green. You will not be able to go back and play them again, but you'll get all the achievements, and you can still do the free run mode where you can compete against times of your friends on the leaderboards. So this game is going to be $29.99 at launch. Not everyone is going to be happy with that price, because it's not as polished as a comparable product like Dirt Rally 2.0 for the same price. But this is a developer that obviously cares about making the best games they can, and they have a lot of passion for it. So if you want to support smaller developers, I would say this game is worth picking up. Anyway, that's it for this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. As always, if you did enjoy this video, hit the like. Be sure to share this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Sergeant Sentinel Gaming.